Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. A student asked me about a previous video in which I talked about my friend Gudrun Cable, who established a wonderful hotel on the coast of Oregon called the Sylvia Beach Hotel. And Gudrun applied for 30 mortgages. She was turned down for all of them. She kept applying, and number 31 approved her. And the student asked her, how do I know when to push on like that when there's seeming lots of obstacles? And how do I know when I'm getting a sign that this is not right for me and I should stop? Good question, isn't it? And I told her, when you're burning with the fire of purpose, then things that would come up that would otherwise stop you can't. In other words, your vision and intention and passion are so strong that what would seem to be obstacles become smaller. They don't stop you, they empower you actually, because it makes you want to keep going and do more. Someone asked Ernest Hemingway, should I be a writer? And Hemingway answered, if something can stop you, let it. A similar question was asked to Barbra Streisand. Should I become a singer? And Streisand answered, if you have to ask me, the answer is no. So you see, when you're operating from internal authority, external factors are not relevant because spirit is guiding you, and the world is it's just a blank slate onto which we're projecting our thoughts. So when you're coming from high intention, the world it's just small. It's just details compared to what you're doing. Someone asked Norman Vincent Peale, the author of Power of Positive Thinking. He was sitting next to this young lady on an airplane, and she asked him, two guys have proposed to me. I'm not sure which one to marry. Can you help me? He said, well, sure. I don't think you should marry either of them. Why not? Because if you have to ask me, you're not in love with either of them. So I want to encourage you that in relationships and in finances and living situations and jobs, when you're on the train of passion, amazing things happen. When you don't have passion, it's going to flop. One of my clients had to do a lecture, a Zoom lecture, and he was kind of nervous about it. And he told me about the lecture. He said, well, that's kind of boring. That's kind of boring. I said, why would you present something that's boring? If you're bored, your students don't stand a chance. What I suggest you do is go back and find a way to make the lecture so interesting to you that you don't care if they're interested in it. You're having fun giving it. And he revised his lecture, took out the boring parts, added interesting stuff for him, and he emailed me and said it was a big success. So I want to encourage you to tap into where your joy truly lives and ask yourself, am I living it? Am I giving my joy my full throttle expression, or am I compromising it or apologizing for it, or explaining it? And if you are, how could you reframe it so you're having more fun with it? See? Now, when I write, it's fun. I love writing. Writing is my therapy. It's my healing. I write because I want people to read it, of course, but I'm writing because I'm an open vessel through which big ideas come, and it's my honor and pleasure to craft them and put them on paper. And so I can sit for 2-3 hours and write, and it feels like 15-20 minutes. It's like, where did the time go? Because I'm in that moment and the freight train of passion is moving and I'm on it. What would your freight train of passion be? I knew an artist, a famous artist actually. He wanted to rent my house. And he said, well, I'm an unusual kind of guy. He says, I just paint from dusk till dawn. I stay up all night painting. I said, well, that's cool. And he loves it so much that he doesn't want to sleep. He sleeps during the day. So what would you do A lot of people ask me, what job should I take? What career should I take? What would you do if you weren't getting paid for it? What would you do just for fun? What would you do because it might actually help people? What would you do because it would give you a sense of purpose and wanting to get up in the morning and do this? And I promise you, if you can do that, the universe will support you. The universe pays people who imbue their works with passion. A friend of mine was also an artist, another friend. And she asked a business consultant, how much should I charge for my paintings? And he answered, the paintings that you're most excited about, charge the most for them. The ones that you're not so excited about, charge the least for them. Why? Because when you imbue your work with passion, people feel it, it's electrified. And they want to buy your passion even more than the painting, because most people are starving for passion in their lives. I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about passion of the soul. Most people lead humdrum lives, they're hypnotized by television and the news, they engage in gossipy conversations, they're lost and confused, and their passion has dwindled to a mere ember. So when somebody comes along who's alive in what they're doing, who feels, you're a teacher, an artist, a musician, a dancer, a writer, and when your writing or your dance is filled with passion, people will stand up and applaud because they're feeling the energy that you're channeling while you're doing it. And people are happy to pay good money for somebody who inspires them. See, inspiration has a dollar value, not that you do it only for the money, but when you put it out there, the money comes back. Somebody said, cast your bread upon the water and it shall return multiplied. So this might be a good week for us all to do a fearless and searching self-inventory and ask yourself, if I were truly living my passion, what would I do? Now, I did a program for many years called the Mastery Training. It was a 6-day residential retreat, had great success with it. And then Dee and I moved to Fiji for a number of years. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do a program here? And I thought, it's very expensive to get here. It's a long way. It's a foreign culture. I don't know if it had the same success in Fiji as we did in the mainland US. This inner voice said, just do it for fun, just do it for joy. And the people who come will be the right people, whether it's a small group or a large group. We had twice the number of people fly all the way at twice the air cost to get there because I think they felt my passion for it. And I really wanted to do it. And I was willing to do it even if it's a lot of people or a few people. And it worked. We did that for several years. They were all big successes because I was alive in it. A man stood up in my workshop and said, I was very unhappy. And my marriage was a mere shell of the marriage it used to be. And I was bored in my work and I wasn't feeling well. And he said, my 11-year-old daughter came to me and she said, Dad, you're a ghost. He said, that got my attention because I wasn't fooling anybody, that I was literally dying daily in routines that were suffocating my soul. So I left my marriage, changed my job, changed my living situation. So I came back to life because I chose to follow my aliveness. Now, I'm not suggesting that you all leave your marriages and jobs. Some are quite appropriate to keep. But if you need to do something to change your life, to follow your passion, because your life literally depends on your passion. Passion is life force. Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbs, is all based on moving life force through your chi or ki. And when your acupuncturist needles you, it's like opening up these energy circuits. That's one form of passion, life force. So at this very moment, life force is begging to flow through you. It's begging to come out in your book, begging to come out in your dancing, begging to come out in your singing, whatever, in your crafts, in your hobby. You know, lots of people turn hobbies into huge livelihoods because they love doing them. And when you love what you're doing, it shows. There was an airline years ago, and the tagline was, "We love to fly, and it shows." It's a good tagline. And if you're not loving to fly, it shows too. So don't you want to wake up the world? And the way to wake up the world is by waking up yourself. What is your fire of purpose that you like to burn with? You're already burning with it. It's a good question, isn't it? It's time for us, you know, there's been so much fear in the world, and people have gotten so shut down to expressing themselves that anybody who expresses themselves is a light. You know, you can light up the world by going to the post office, by chatting amiably with your waitress at a restaurant, by by watching videos that you like if nobody else likes them. It takes integrity and character to do what you love, independent of other people's opinions and guidance. I was also doing a residential retreat a number of years ago, and it was just before bedtime. This lady was in the lobby reading this magazine, and it was True Story, Emergency Magazine, True Stories of Ambulance Calls. And I said to her, "Josephine, how can you read stuff like that before you go to bed? Doesn't it give you nightmares?" She said, "Oh no," she said, "I work on the rescue squad, and this gives me good ideas. This excites me." And I thought, wow, it would be a real bummer for me to read that, but for her, it was an uplifter. And so people will come along and say, "You should do this and you shouldn't follow that." And, you know, they're all full of baloney because they have no idea what your spiritual path is. Only you do. And you have to support them to be true to theirs, and you have to support yourself to be true to yours. Now, the same thing happens in relationships. When you're ready and ripe for a great relationship, it will show up organically and naturally. You won't have to fuss. You won't have to date 50 frogs and kiss them before you meet the prince. You know, the best things in the world happen without effort or struggle. And I often quote that lesson from A Course in Miracles that says, "When you have learned how to decide with God, all decisions become as right and easy as breathing. And you will be led as gently as if you were going along a quiet path in summer." That's how it happens, not through fighting for stuff. You know, when Gudrun Cable was going for her hotel, it seemed like a fight, but she wasn't. She was just doing what she had to do and waiting for the right person. Eventually, somebody will say yes. I don't care what your job is or your relationship issue is. Eventually, if you keep asking and you have burned with the fire of purpose, somebody will say yes. The right person will say yes. Instead of you trying to manipulate and force the wrong person to say yes, wait for the right person to say yes, and it will really be the right person. You want the right partner, not just somebody you lurch at or grab at because you're desperate. Desperation always backfires. Passion always profires, if I can invent a word. Be proactive to move forward. Let me tell you about an upcoming program while we have your attention for the moment. So I'm doing a new program in June and July called Relationship. It's a 6-week program going deep into what makes relationships work, how to shift dysfunctional relationships to functional ones, how to make good relationships better. We're talking about romantic relationships, business relationships, friendships, teacher-student relationships, pets. We're going to run the gamut on how to make all the relationships in your life work in your favor. It'll be an exciting interactive series. It's a 6-week program, starts on June 7th. And we're offering a discount. If you register before April 30, go to my website and enter the discount code Relationship20. Hope you join me. So let's just take a final moment. I like to go into gratitude and appreciation. So thank you, Great Spirit, speaking for you as well as me. Thank you, Great Spirit, for where my passion lives, even if it's a trickle of passion. You don't need a floodgate of passion. You just need something to latch onto. It'll take you to the bigger river. Thank you for the things I love to do. Thank you for helping me discover the things I love to do by doing things I didn't love to do and making up my mind that I'd rather follow my spirit. Thank you for inspiration. Thank you for guidance. Thank you for willingness. Thank you for my big picture intention that overrides little intentions that cannot stop me. Thank you for connecting me with all the right people who can and will say yes. But most of all, thank you for the inner yes. Another word for God is yes. When you light up, you are in your highest spiritual path. People are talking about meditation and yoga. When I am in my yes, I am fully empowered. Thank you for my yes. My yes will overcome all no's and lead me to everyone and everything else in my life that matches my yes. I have a good life. I am blessed. I'm speaking for all of us now. Even if you have issues or problems, there are blessings. There's a river of blessings that is flowing behind the scenes. What we want to do this week is get on the river and go where Spirit wants us to go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Love you lots. I'll see you next week.